So we got another story about migrants coming in and upsetting the lives of people who are actually citizens in the country. I made, I don't know how many videos I've made now. I think maybe two that were relevant. But the most recent one was about migrants being able to become cops, being allowed to become police officers. So you don't have to be a citizen. You can just come over here uh, and be allowed to be a police officer or a peace officer. People ignore these kinds of messages. They think that this kind of talk is bigoted until it affects them. So now you have people in Brooklyn. I think this was a I don't know what kind of community this was, but it wasn't a black community. And the migrants who were housed at some sort of field, like apparently the weather was too bad, and so they took them off the streets. They put them in a nearby school so that they could sleep in safety and comfort during the storm, and then they took them back out, and it inconvenienced the citizens, and it inconvenienced them because you work very hard to pay this insanely high rent in these cities, and that means I need a place for my children to go during the day. And one of the places that children tend to go during the day is school. Now, if the school is shut down because of some issue with migrants who weren't supposed to be here in the first place, well, now you have to either stay home, trust your kid to stay home by themselves, or find a babysitter or somebody that's going to watch your kids and pay them for that. And it kind of disrupts your whole life. And you haven't done anything but faithfully work and pay taxes and be a good citizen. And this is the thanks that you get. And this is one of the inconveniences people are going through. So I wanted to make this video because voting season's coming back up, and you have all of the wealthy using their money to push that trick on the masses that go out there and vote, use your vote to get some change. And so the stupid masses get distracted by that, and they go out there and they vote, and then is over, voting season's over, and then you have the politicians in place who don't do nothing for you because they work for the wealthy. They were put in place for the wealthy. You know about them because of the wealthy. They're employees of the wealthy, so they're not there to work for you. They're there to work for the wealthy. So nothing happens, nothing changes. You realize that you're still stuck in the same position that you were in, and you just sit by and wait, and then voting season comes back around, and the wealthy people use their money to promote it and send out the message to vote. Go out there and vote if you want some change. And you go out there and you vote, and then you find out that the politicians you put in power, and it's just a cycle that happens over and over again. It's a distraction that has been put in place purposely so that people don't go after the wealthy. It's a game that has been put in place to give people the illusion of choice and to give people the illusion that they have some sort of power and control over their lives, which you don't. These politicians that are put in place, they are put in place by the wealthy. They're put there. And so because election season is here, and I'm always fighting against this and trying to wake people up and get people to start paying attention to this whole farce and this whole game that has been put in place by the wealthy to keep you stagnant and to keep you in a position where you just work like cattle to keep the wealthy living the way that they want. I'm going to use this opportunity to give another example. Now, it's another example, but it's not another example. I've talked about this guy before, Eric Adams, who everybody's talking about, the mayor of New York, who has been allowing a lot of this stuff to happen. And I wanted to talk about this because, you know, as a black person, I'm constantly told that the Republicans are bad and they're horrible and they're this and they're that, and the Democrats are the ones that are liberal, and liberal means good, and liberal means united, and liberal means I don't know, prosperity for everyone of every color, race, and creed and background. So I should be voting Democrat and don't mess with those Republicans. Now, obviously, we know that the Republicans are pathetic, demonic animals and they're puppets as well. The Republicans are really in place. Their job is to distract, confuse, and redirect anger from the white masses in the Midwest and in the South. Democrats, their job and their role is to distract and redirect the all the other masses, so black, all the non-whites, and all of the quote unquote liberal whites. So Democrats and Republicans are both put in place by the wealthy in order to distract people and redirect them. So the Republicans I don't focus on because the Republicans don't target people like me. Their job is to distract and to destroy the lives of rural, poorer whites in the Midwest and in the South, and to distract those people and to take their attention away from the wealthy whites. So I don't really talk about them because we don't focus on them anyway. The people that I normally talk to are normally liberal people. And so they tend to vote for Democrats. And the Democrats' job, again, is to do the same thing that the Republicans are supposed to do to the rural, poorer whites. Their job is to do it to everyone else. So I talk about the Democrats. So the Democrats always coming around telling you, vote for this, vote for the Democrats because you're going to get this, that, and the third. And if you don't vote, you won't get any change, and nothing in your life will be better if you don't vote for the Democrats. So, okay, black people have been voting for Democrats for half of a century. And nothing has been, for more than half of a century, and nothing has been done to better our lives. And this is a prime example. So you look at a guy like Eric Adams. Eric Adams is a Democrat. He's been put in place. He has done nothing in in New York to help the lives of liberal people at all. So voting for him was obviously a waste of time and was obviously irrelevant. This guy has kind of set things up so that people's lives are actually worse because you have all these migrants coming in. And I made a video before about I'm gonna post a clip from that video probably at the end of this one because I don't want to get off track. It's about Eric Adams. But again, the reason I'm talking about this is I want to shed light on certain things. So Eric Adams has been put in place by the wealthy. The wealthy find these people, they vet them, they train them, and then they finance their campaign so that they can get this person in office. Once they've used their money to get this person into office, they then either outwardly just give this person cash or they give them the promise of opportunities in the future so that they can do what they're told and their payment. So how can I explain this? They give them opportunities or the promise of opportunities in the future, and that is their way of bribing them. So that's how they get around the whole bribery law. Well, I didn't give him cash. I didn't do any of that. He just happened to get a job after he got out of office, making millions upon millions of dollars doing nothing. You look at people like the Obamas. The Obamas Barack Obama got out of office, and this guy is now a film producer. Would why would Netflix hire the Obamas to produce films? They have no background in that. This guy was a lawyer and a politician, and now he's a film producer. Same thing with people like Stacey Abrams. Made a video on her as well in the past. She's a politician, career politician, and then all of a sudden she's an author who gets her books turned into television shows out of nowhere. These are positions that are promised to them, so they can say, "Well, I didn't give them a check or give them a wad of cash to bribe them. I didn't do that. I'm not bribing them." Well, no, but who's giving these people these positions that they normally wouldn't? That normally aren't given to people with these types of jobs, or they're normally not qualified for. Who's giving them these positions and giving them all this money to do nothing? That's the bribe. So the same thing is with people like Eric Adams. Eric Adams, I'm not going to say I believe he was put in place by the wealthy. I'm going to say he was put in place by the wealthy, but I believe that once he gets out of office, he'll have some sort of job doing nothing where he'll be paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars a year. That will be the bribe. That will be the money that has been put in place to bribe this guy. And I say all of that because these migrants coming in, it's only going to benefit the wealthy. It's not going to do anything for us. It may do something for the migrants, but then if we're talking about the wealthy, well, why would the wealthy want to do that for the migrants? Where does that come from? Just the goodness of their hearts? That doesn't make sense because they're not doing anything for the poor people here. So they're not bringing the migrants here just because they love poor, underprivileged people and they want to help them because, again, they're not doing it for the poor, underprivileged people here in this country. They're ignoring them. So then why would they be bringing the migrants here? What reason would they have to bring the migrants here? Now, obviously, I don't know. I can't read these people's minds, so I don't know their plans, and I can only speculate. But you do have to speculate when these types of things happen. You can't just ignore them. So why would wealthy people want migrants here? Well, there's a whole host of reasons. Well, migrants come here, they can be part of a new voting bloc. There is this move by Black Americans to pull their vote and to not vote anymore. If Black people stop voting because they're not getting the things that they want, that can cause a trickle down effect. Because as you know, well, if Black people make something trend, other groups tend to follow it. So if other groups start to see that, they may start to do it as well. If that voting system dies, the wealthy are in trouble because that voting system again is a ploy that has been put in place centuries ago to convince the masses not to revolt. It is a way to tell the masses, look, things may be bad for you, but at least you have a choice. You can vote and you will get the things that you need. That's what voting has been put in place for. So if that ruse is destroyed, the wealthy are going to be in trouble. They're going to have to come up with some other plan and implement that. That's going to take time to implement the plan. And in between that time, what are people going to do if they feel they don't have any kind of a choice or any kind of an option for change? They're going to revolt. And the wealthy don't want that, so they can't get rid of that. So you bring in these migrants and give them the ability to vote. Well, that's a new voting bloc. Well, that will kind of minimize any damage done by blacks pulling their vote and pulling out of that voting system. That's one thing. Another thing is cheap labor. You bring these people over here and they're so desperate to just get a job and get a foothold here that they will work for pennies. That means cheap, almost free labor for a lot of these wealthy business owners. I can save money by not paying the low minimum wage to the citizens. I can pay even lower to these migrants who are so desperate they just will do whatever I ask for any amount of money that I give them. Me and my friends have destroyed their way of life over there in South America so much that now they have no choice but to practically work as slaves for us here. That's another benefit. Another reason why you'd bring migrants over here is when migrants come over here and they have brand new credit. Well, that means all kinds of loans. That means that the wealthy can just on paper or just type up in the because it's not like wealthy are giving out cash loans like, here, come to my office and here is a wad of cash, here you go. That's not what's being done anymore. They really just type up some numbers on a spread in some sort of software system, and that will translate into money for these migrants. So they'll loan them nothing, and the migrants in return have to pay back that nothing plus interest. And so these people, that's bank for the wealthy. I bring all of these people here. All of these people are going to want to participate in this credit system that we have here. So we'll give them loans, and those people will have to pay us back. So we've really done nothing, and we have these millions of people who are now going to be paying us back extra money, and we didn't really do anything but type in an amount online, transfer some numbers digitally to these people. They're going to have to pay that amount back to cover that amount, and then they got to pay interest. That's like free money. Bringing these migrants here in the course of 10 years, that's millions upon millions to billions of dollars in money that has been just given to them because of interest. So I come over here. I'm a migrant, me and my family, my cousins, my uncle, my father, my brothers, and we're all here, and we all need to buy houses. We need to buy cars. We need to start businesses. We need to buy clothes. We need to buy food. We don't have money, but guess what? If we get a job where the wealthy are paying us pennies, Well, once we have that job, we can also go out and get a line of credit. So now you have a brand new line of debt slaves, wage slaves, of people who are here. They're not being paid enough, so they'll never be able to pay back that debt. They'll always be in debt because you're paying them pennies, but they're constantly pumping more money back into your account. You see how that works? Am I explaining that properly? So I come over here. Let me do it one more time. I come over here. My name is Raul, right? And I get a job working in a factory somewhere, let's say. And instead of them paying me $15 an hour or even $7 an hour, I don't know, they pay me $2.50 an hour, something like that, and I accept it because I just need the job so that I can get a line of credit. So I'm getting paid $2.50 an hour. I'm gonna try to make this easier for myself. That's let's say they get paid $5 an hour, so that is $40 a day, 40, 80. I'm not good at math. 44 times 5. That's 200. Let's say they get $200 a week. So I get $200 a week, $800. Let's say they get $1,000 a month, right? So I'm getting $1,000 a month working in this factory, right? Okay. So my name's Raul. I come here. I work for you. I get paid $1,000 a month. I take out a loan because I need to get a place to live. I need to get a truck. I need to maybe start a little business. So I'm taking out all these loans. Now I'm tens of thousands of dollars in debt, and I'm being paid only $1,000 a month. So I'm paying to pay back these loans that I'll never be able to pay back. So I will literally be working till I die. I have no choice but to work till I die, which is a windfall for the wealthy, because you have one wealthy person who's saving money by paying Raul pennies. You have another wealthy person who is making money because Raul has taken out this line of credit and used that credit to purchase a vehicle from my store, or to purchase a home that I've my whatever thing built. And then I have the person that actually gave the loan, who I'm getting back interest from the loan that I gave this person. So you have wealthy making bank from all these people coming in. You bring them in, that's just cash, immediate cash for these people. So already you have three reasons, just off the top of my head, that three reasons or incentives for wealthy people to bring migrants over here. I can bring these people over here and they will make us money in the way that I just described, which was kind of convoluted and long, so I'm not going to go into that again. I can bring these people over here because they will also keep this voting block thing going. And also, I can bring these people over here, make them police officers, and if the other people that live here start getting out of hand, well, I got these new cops who I just put in a position of power, who are so desperate that they will do anything that I ask, and they'll kind of work as a shield to protect me from any uprisings from the actual citizens. This is just a win-win for the wealthy. So the wealthy are bringing these people over here, but they want to hide their hand, and they don't want to make it look like they are the ones that came up with this. So they hire people like Eric Adams, and they put people like Eric Adams in positions of power. And then Eric Adams is the face of all this. Everyone says, why are these migrants here? Everyone looks to Eric Adams. That's why these politicians are in place, because wealthy want to do these little things that benefit them at our expense, and they want to hide their hand. They want to show us someone else to go after, so that we don't look at the owner of the New York Giants, or at I had the list here. This is from the other video I made about Eric Adams, the list of the people that donated to him. Or you had, I think it was one of the people that run or used to run Estee Lauder. I'm not looking at those people. I don't even know about those people. I don't even think about them. I'm looking at Eric Adams, this black Democratic politician. That's who's the one who is responsible for all my pain. That's what these politicians are there for. They're there to be the face, and they know that that's going to happen, but they take that chance because they want to be brought into the world of the wealthy and given opportunities. They're getting paid for this. This is a job to Eric Adams. His job is not to be a mayor to take care of the citizens of New York City. His job is to be a puppet, a face, and a shield for the wealthy. And you imbeciles voted him into office because you ignore people like me and you just go out there and blindly vote anyway, instead of actually doing what you're supposed to do and ignoring that system and punishing the wealthy by taking away your money. So don't waste your time voting. All this stuff with these migrants is going to keep happening. Things are going to get worse. I've made black videos about a black purge that I think that's coming, and a lot of these migrants are coming in, and they're going to take part in that. That's what I believe. And you guys are ignoring people like me and not listening and just continuously doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, which is the definition of insanity. And that's not going to happen. Keep voting, keep spending your money, and keeping this system going as it's going is to your detriment. Now, before I continue, I do want to say one thing. I don't make too many of these videos because I don't want to sound like a bigot. I'm not angry at the migrants coming here. I'm not upset at them. The migrants are doing what's best for them and their families. The same thing that we would do in a situation like this. If our country imploded upon itself and we couldn't live here anymore, we would migrate somewhere else. So we're not just going to sit here and die. People are gonna try to find a way. So I'm not angry at the migrants. Before I continue, I kind of want people to look in the mirror and look back on themselves. Because we ignore the wealthy and we finance them and fund them, we're the reasons the migrants are here. Because the wealthy go over into these places and destabilize these people's countries. They destroy their democratic elections and their democratic systems, so these people can't even put in their own leaders because we're over there fucking things up for them. I'm sorry, I'll say the wealthy over there fucking things up for them. They're destabilizing these people's homes because they're raping the land and trying to take as many resources as possible from these people, and it destroys their way of life. They install puppet leaders and dictators who are really just gang leaders, and then the gang leaders have these gangs that go around fucking with the people, and so the people become distraught and they leave and look for somewhere else to go. And all that stuff happens because we allow it as American citizens. We take part in this political system where we vote in puppets, people who we know are puppets, but we just vote them in anyway. Then we also go out and we fund all of the wealthy people. We blindly pay taxes. Those taxes are used to fund our armies, which go into these countries and fuck with these people and destroy these people's lives. By ignoring all of this stuff and continuously doing what we're doing, we're destroying people in other countries. Those people are gonna come here. You don't want migrants coming here? Well, you have to make a change in your own home, because it's your home that's destroying these people's lives and giving them no option and no choice, and creating scenarios like this where if the wealthy decide, well, we want to bring migrants over here, a migrant's going to say, I'm coming. I need a better life for myself and my family and my children. And I can't do it here because the powers that be are destroying things over here. And they're doing that because there's a group of people in the country who are financing them and giving them the power. We give the wealthy and the government and the military the power that it has. We stock the military with soldiers because we're the ones joining the military. We finance the military because we blindly pay taxes and don't care where that fucking money is spent or what it's used for. We put these politicians in place that work for the wealthy and push these policies because we just blindly vote for them. We don't do anything to fight back. And not only do we not do anything to fight back, but we actively participate in moving this system forward. We are the ones that make this system work. So because of that, we are really the result. We're the reason why these people's homelands are so destroyed that they have no other choice but to leave and go somewhere else. So they come over here, we get upset that they're here. We're the reasons they're here. Okay? That's a point I always have to make. Don't look at the migrants and be upset at them. Be upset at yourself. because you're not doing anything to punish the wealthy or to stop this system, even though you know what's going on. We know these people go into South America and destroy these areas, destroy the rainforest, steal the resources, destroy the people, exploit the people, rape the people, all kinds of stuff we've known. I've been hearing about this stuff since I was young in the 90s, but nothing's done about it. People just pay taxes blindly. They don't withhold the taxes, and then when the government complains, then we do something. We tell them why we're withholding our taxes. We don't withhold our money. We just pump our money into the economy, which enriches wealthy people, and it's going to make them continuously do the things that they do. And we know that, but we ignore it because it's too difficult to fight back, and we don't want to stop shopping. I don't want to stop buying things. So I had to make that point. Don't be mad at the migrants. Don't be a bigot and hate the migrants. If you're gonna hate somebody, hate the wealthy. Another thing that the wealthy, I believe, are doing is look at places. A lot of these migrants are coming from Venezuela. Go look at Venezuela. It is a beautiful place. Another thing that these wealthy people do is there's this nice area over here. Why don't we get the people out of there, move them into start this twofold plan where we move them into America to kind of displace the people that are in America, and then we have all this nice land in Venezuela that we can go in and either build up our own factories or maybe even live there. It's beautiful over there. People don't sit down and think about the plans that these wealthy people are making. We have a bunch of people in New York, right? For example, we got a bunch of people in New York that we don't want there. We have migrants that we brought in from the 70s and the 90s, and we kind of want to get rid of those migrants. Obviously, the American blacks, we want to get rid of them. You have some poorer whites that we don't want there anymore. Why don't we take migrants from Venezuela, for example, bring them into New York, fuck up New York so much that the original population leaves. They leave, and then we just move the migrants away. So we get rid of the population there, get rid of the migrants after we've used the migrants to run the population out, and now we have all this nice, beautiful property again that we can buy for pennies, and it's New York City. So now once we own these properties that we bought for pennies because people abandoned the place, well, then we'll let people move back in and we'll own this nice, expensive property. At the same time, we've moved people out of Venezuela. There's some free property over there now. Some free land because people don't live there anymore. We own that land now. It's so funny. These people sit down and come up with these plans and then put these politicians in place, and you guys just vote for the politicians blindly like fucking idiots. And then it results in this stuff. So I know all of this was confusing and it was a tangent because I didn't write any of this stuff down, which I should have. But I'm going to play a clip. This is from a video I made about the torture and execution of Jordan Neely by Daniel Penny, the white supremacist animal. And in that video, I talked about Eric Adams being put into a position of power, and I named a lot of the groups that put him into those places because, as I said in that video, Eric Adams amassed a lot of money to run, and money he won't be able to pay back. He will never be able to pay back the millions upon millions of dollars that they gave him so that he could get into office. If he's not going to be able to pay it back, why do you think the wealthy gave him that money? That's because they wanted him to pay it back by doing favors for them. And favors, some of those favors are things like look the other way when black people's lives are destroyed and help us bring in these migrants because we have this plan in place that's going to help make us rich at the expense of the people, at the expense of the American citizens who voted you into a position of power. And so we're going to need you to be the face of or to be the one to actually implement this plan so that people don't look at us, they look at you. And this is our way of paying for that. So people, I really don't know what else to say. I don't make as many videos anymore because what's the sense? People that listen, there are not enough of them, so they can't really do much. My videos aren't really shared. YouTube shadow bans me. Twitter shadow bans me. Everybody shadow bans me because obviously this message is an important message for the masses, and they don't want that out there. So everybody's shadow banning me. People aren't sharing my video. I don't get enough views, and people in general just they don't care about these messages. I think there are a lot of people that watch these and they think it's entertainment. This isn't fucking entertainment. This is a call to arms. This is to wake people up. We need everybody to get on board, or at least a mass majority of us to get on board. Stop shopping. Stop voting. Just let this system crumble upon itself. The wealthy people are bullies. They use their money and their power to run over us and do whatever they can to better their lives and the lives of their family at our expense. You have to punish a bully or a bully will never stop. You can't ask the bully to stop. You can't beg. You have to punish them. And in this instance, you punish them by taking away the thing that they use to do all of this stuff. They can't bribe people like Eric Adams if they don't have money. They can't bribe people like Vivek Ramaswamy or Joe Biden if they don't have money. They can't bribe people like Ron DeSantis if they don't have money. If we're taking away money, they can't bribe them if they don't have that. Take away your money. You have to stop giving them money. That's the only way this changes. Unless people are I'm not going to say that because that'll give YouTube a reason to take my video down. The only way to do this is to pull your money. Stop shopping in these big chain stores. If enough of us stop pumping money into the system, that takes away the power that they have. That's the only power they have is cash. There's only a handful of these people. They can't do anything by force. They can't control our military and our police if they can't pay them. They don't have anything without cash. So if you want this stuff to stop giving them your cash. Pull your money. Stop going to these big chain stores. Change how you shop. Stop shopping in these big stores that all these wealthy people have their hands in, that all these wealthy people invest in, that all these wealthy people gain revenue from. Stop shopping in these stores. Pull your money. Stop voting. Let this system crumble. Once they start to see the cracks form, I promise you that handful of people whose faces you will never see, they will then direct their employees, who you call them your politicians, to come out and ask you what you want. That's the only way you get their attention. Until then, they don't hear you. They don't pay attention to you. And the ones that do hear you or pay attention, they know that what you're saying is irrelevant because you won't do anything important enough to stop what's happening. So they probably just sit and laugh at you. But most of them don't know what you're saying. They don't care about what you're saying. They don't hear you. They don't understand your pain. They don't know about any of that stuff because they're living their life in luxury because you keep this system in place that keeps them in power. So if you want to punish these people who are doing all of this stuff to destroy your lives and to destabilize you, you have to take away your money. And again, I'm going to play this clip about Eric Adams that I put in this other video because I think it helps explain a little bit about why you need to stop wasting your time voting. Voting is a system that has been put in place a long time ago by the wealthy to make the masses think that they have a choice, that they have the ability to get some change, that they have some sort of freedom over their lives. You don't. Don't waste your time voting. If you want change, stop voting and go out there and pull your money. Convince your neighbors, convince your family members, your friends that they need to pull their money. Alter the way that you shop so that you can affect these people's money. You can't let a bully just get away with anything. You can't just ignore them and ask them. You have to punish them. That's the only way they will stop doing things that harm you. So take a look at this clip and just... anybody paying or interested or paying attention, just let me know what you think in the comments.
Voting? Well, that was always a waste of time because voting is a system that was put in place a long time ago to make the masses think that they have a choice. But you don't have a choice because all of the candidates that you have to pick from were selected and hired by the wealthy. Give it some serious thought. If you wanted to run for public office right now, you just up and decided, you know what, I want to become whatever in my city. How would you do it? Where would you get the money to run? How would you pay for the extremely expensive television commercials? How would you get CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, or any other television network to bring you onto their platform? Who would you contact to make that happen? How much would you have to pay for that? How would you get on the radio? How would you pay for the billboards and the newspaper ads? How would you get the newspaper to interview you? How would you do all of that stuff? How would you pay for all of that? Do you even know where to start? Of course not. No average citizen is going to know how to do all of that. Someone with the money, the connections, and the know-how would have to set all of that up for you. And what do you think they would want in return? Think about it. Our politicians and the candidates that you see running are all employees of the wealthy. That's why you've never seen a black politician who will actually fight for the black community, because their wealthy white bosses instruct them not to. So when something like this Jordan Neely incident happens, the black officials don't know how to proceed because they know they're not allowed to attack white citizens, and they haven't received their instructions from their real bosses. Now let's take a quick look at Eric Adams' real bosses. So the mayor of New York City is entitled to a salary of around $250,000. That's $250,000 a year. And it says he's entitled to that. That doesn't mean that's what he's making. He could be making less. But let's say he's making $250,000 a year, right? Remember that. Now let's switch over to how much money he raised to run for office. According to the New York Times, Eric Adams raised almost $8 million. And he had a whole lot of wealthy donors. $8 million. That's a lot of money. Why do you think the wealthy gave him that money? Do you think they just donated it to him out of the goodness of their hearts? Doubt it. Do you think Eric Adams will ever be able to pay them back? Not likely. If he's making $250,000 a year, that would take him a long time to pay all of that back. He lives in New York, so he's probably spending at least $100,000 just to live in the city. That leaves him with about $150,000, and that's me being generous. If he used all of that $150,000 that he has left every year just to pay back his wealthy donors, that would take him more than 50 years to pay back, more than half a century. And Adams is 62 years old right now. So he would die before being able to pay that back on his regular salary. So that means he'd never be able to pay that back to them. So he's not going to be paying that money back. And we know that wealthy people just don't give money away for nothing. Hell, they don't even like paying taxes. So why would they just give Adams all of that money? Think about it. Let's say you're wealthy. You have over $100 million in your account. Would you be sitting around thinking about local politicians in different states that you can just give your money to? Of course not. You'd be out there living life with your money. So why are these wealthy people always so interested in just giving free money to political candidates? What are they getting out of it? Well, they're obviously getting something in return. And what they get in return are favors. They invest in these candidates and these politicians, and in return, they expect the politician to do things for them, like making policies so that they don't have to pay taxes, or altering existing regulations so that a product that normally wouldn't be legal can actually still be sold, or by looking the other way when a crime is committed by them, or like creating and upholding policies, laws, and statutes that target black people. Whatever the wealthy person wants, they get. And that's why they invest their money into people like Eric Adams. That's why you will never get the things that you ask for. The politicians always come up with reasons why they can never do the things that you want, because their real bosses, the people that are paying them that large sum of money, are instructing them not to give you what you're asking for. So let's say you're a black person and you want laws and policies enacted that will deter white citizens or cops from targeting you just because you're black. Reasonable, right? You want your politician to help protect you from malicious attacks. Well, the politicians, for some reason, have never been able to do that. Why do you think that is? It's because the wealthy white men and women that they work for are telling them that they can't do it. What other reason could there be? So if this reality bothers you, how do you fight back? What can black people do to stop this? Well, if wealthy people are using their money to control your politicians, which means they control your government, What would you have to do? What can you do that's legal and safe? Very simple. You take away the money that the wealthy people are using to purchase your politicians. And how do you do that? Well, you'd have to stop shopping. When you go shopping, you're pumping money into the accounts of the wealthy whites. Those wealthy whites then take your money and use it to hire, fund, and control people like Eric Adams. Let's take another closer look at this. Have any of you ever gone to a makeup store and purchased makeup? How many of you watch sports on these sports networks that are out there? How many of you like going to the movies? How many of you like buying watches and jewelry? How many of you like to smoke cigarettes? Well, if you like partaking in any of the things that I just mentioned, then that means you're part of the problem. Let's take a look at a handful of the wealthy that invested in Eric Adams. You have the chief executive of Mediacom. Mediacom is this media company that makes their money from networks that air NFL football games and baseball games. So if you like watching sports, your views help boost the ratings, and that generates advertising dollars for Mediacom. They then take that money that you help them make and they invest in Eric Adams. Let's look at another one. You have William Lauder. He's the heir to the Estee Lauder fortune. Estee Lauder is makeup. So if you like going into MAC Cosmetics, or you like buying Clinique makeup, or any of these other makeup brands, you're giving your hard-earned money to Mr. William Lauder. This wealthy white man then takes your money and invests in people like Eric Adams. Let's take a look at another one. You have Lori Tish. I don't know how to say this bitch's last name. You have Lori Tish. She's the heiress to the Lowe's Corporation. Lowe's Corporation, they own or they've gained money from things like Lowe's movie theaters, from the sale of Bulova watches, advertising revenue from networks like CBS, and from the sale of cigarettes. So if you like going to the movies, or you like buying jewelry, or you like watching Judge Judy, or you like smoking cigarettes, then that means you're taking your money and giving it over to Lori Tish. She then takes your money and invests it in Eric Adams. Lori's brother Steve, he's the chairman of the New York Giants. So if you like going to Giants games, or buying Giants jerseys or hats, or any Giants paraphernalia, then you're taking your money and you're giving it over to Mr. Tish. He then takes your money and invests in Eric Adams. And let's not forget about the hedge funds. Hedge funds is very important. Let me break these down real quick. This is going to be confusing, but I'm going to try. I'm not that smart. Hedge funds are groups that take money from various individuals. So let's say my name is Johnny Quest. I'm a multimillionaire. I want to move some money around, but don't want people knowing what I'm using my money for. So I'll take my money and I'll invest in a hedge fund, like Blue Ridge Capital. They're a hedge fund that invested in Eric Adams. So I invest my money into Blue Ridge Capital. Then a whole bunch of my rich friends also invest their money into Blue Ridge Capital. We, as a group, then instruct Blue Ridge Capital to take some of our money and invest it into people or things that we don't want the public to know about. And the public will never be able to find out, because if the public looks into it, they'll just see that a hedge fund called Blue Ridge Capital invested into this person, and the public will never be able to find out where Blue Ridge Capital got that money from, because it's illegal for them to divulge that information. So when you see that a hedge fund invested into something, you'll never really know the actual individuals that are doing the investing, which ultimately means that when you shop, you never know who or what you're financing. So if you're out there blindly shopping and supporting these big white-owned businesses, you're funding and enabling people like Eric Adams, or Joe Biden, or Mitch McConnell, or Nancy Pelosi, or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So you have to stop spending money with these people, because these people take that money and they invest it into these politicians, who then go out there and ignore crimes that are happening to people that look like you, and protect people who are committing the crimes against you.